Oh, and I've had Hope moaning on about... Oh, don't matter what she's been moaning about.
Oh, go on, tell us, want to know.
Oh, tell us, please. No one tells me nothing these days. I'm best dead secretive with me.
Just about all the mates going on holiday and she's not.
Look, Fizz, I know you're not exactly rolling in it, but holidays don't always have to be dead pricey, do they?
We never went on holiday when I was little. Scylla said she didn't believe in them.
I think we knew every holiday park from Land's End to Johnny Groats. Didn't we, Maria? Crazy times, crazy people.
Talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Welcome to episode 317 of the Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that wonders just what exactly Beth has against Wigan. I'm Gavin.
And I'm mafting.
It is quite mafting in here.
It is, but I have this really gorgeous, wonderful husband who has this portable air conditioner thing that he set up to blow right on me.
It's full of ice.
It's full of ice baby.
It'll be full of water very soon.
Yes. But it's doing the trick.
I feel no benefit from that.
No, because you pointed it right at me, because you are nothing if not giving.
Just brought up right. As simple as that. Just brought up right. Now, I had a little bit of excitement today.
Really?
Now, this window that I'm currently touching the frame of at the moment. It's a thing that I don't know if it's peculiar to American houses, but they have a
screen?
A screen.
Yeah.
And then we have the window on the other side of the screen.
Right.
So the window opens up a little bit, but the screen's there to stop
mosquitoes,
bugs getting in.
Yes.
What happened this morning was between the screen and the partially opened window, a little birdie flew in. And the little birdie was continually flying into the window part, despite the fact that it was flying right up to freedom.
Yeah.
It would not go beyond the little bit of the window frame and fly off. It would just flutter. And it encouraged other birdies to come along and, I guess, offer their opinion on how this trapped bird would gain its freedom.
Yes.
And other birdies seemed to be stumped, so they flew off, leaving the little companion just battering up against the window and squawking. I think it was a sparrow.
And what did you do?
I went outside to encourage the creature to fly down the way.
You didn't.
And then out.
You didn't just roll the window out further?
I did, as far as it would go, and it would not leave the window frame.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I kind of batted it down, and I was like, and then it became free, but I think in batting it down, I might have hurt its wing, and it kind of fell in a little heap into that bush. But I assume it was just a little bit stunned and flew off to enjoy the rest of its birdie life.
Did you see it fly off?
I imagined it flying off.
All right. I was about ready to say that you're an honorary Disney princess now, but it kind of sounds like you might be a villain.
It's what I give her trying to do the right thing. Rescuing this poor birdie. I did think, should I just leave it and it'll eventually figure it out? But it was getting itself all up to high dough.
Why didn't you just pick it up?
I couldn't reach. It went over into the corner here.
But you had the window open as wide as it could.
Oh, at this point I didn't.
Oh, you opened it as wide as it could, and then when it didn't figure that out, you shut it again?
I didn't want other birds to be attracted to it. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have shared that story. Maybe the world is one sparrow lighter tonight, but
Ace Ventura,
I tried to help.
Ace Ventura, pet detective, you are not.
If I could talk to the animals. Anyway, how are you this week?
Good, yeah. I was sick for most of the week. I was just so run down and just crummy, and we're supposed to be going away, and I'm like, I don't want to be sick when we go away. And yet I have to finish this auction.
45
Interruption talk. I was prepared that time.
Ah, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, so I didn't want to take a day off because I need to get this auction finished because it was scheduled to start 3 days after we got back.
Scheduled, yeah.
Yes, scheduled. And then my boss decided to extend it to start the week after because if we had started it when it was originally supposed to start, it would have ended on Labor Day. And she wouldn't be around. She's going away on Labor Day. So that means I get extra time. So because I get extra time, I took yesterday off. I slept for most of the day. And that seems to have done the trick, which is good because when I woke up, I had to squeegee the basement floor and also commiserate with you with how much it costs to fix the air conditioning in my Blazer.
When you say Blazer, you mean car, not jacket.
Yes. Yes, my jacket doesn't come with air conditioning. Not yet.
Or has built-in air conditioning.
Yeah. If you're wearing a jacket, you don't need air conditioning because
That's right.
it's
You
cool
just
enough
take
to
the
wear a
jacket
jacket.
off,
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's all evened out. Been getting all these crazy good books and stuff in. Found a $500 to $1,000 Spider-Man comic book
Issue 300.
to put in the auction, which was very exciting. I was very impressed that you recognized issue 300 and knew that it was something of value.
It has 300 written on it like a million times.
Right.
That was my first clue. And my millionth clue.
Because it's the 25th anniversary issue of Spider-Man.
And I wondered if my old boss, Tony, might have been interested in it because I know he likes the Spider-Man.
Yeah, and some Frank Miller Wolverines. So those should go well. And the first X-Men issue with Gambit on the cover. So that should go really well, too. I will be bidding on that because I do love my Gambit.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that web-slinging Corrie news.
Oh.
We're your friendly neighbourhood Corrie podcast.
Keeping it in the family, Jack P. Shepard's son Reuben is joining the family business, taking on the role of Curtis Royal in The Hollyoaks. So,
It makes me
done.
feel so fucking old that Jack P. Shepard is now of an age where he has offspring who are now of the age to appear in Hollyoaks.
well, he's a teenager.
That's kind of my point.
Claire Sweeney has been
Okay, no comment.
Claire Sweeney has been missing from the Corrie set lately, taking a wee trip down memory lane to the former Brookside set near Liverpool. Claire was a member of the cast of the soap until it ended in November of 2003. The set of Brookside is now an actual neighborhood.
I thought it was a house. A
People-
house in cul-de-sac.
People live in those houses now.
I think they did beforehand.
And then they kicked everybody out to make the show?
No, I think it was kind of like, I could have this completely wrong, but I think it was just like Neighbours. The street on Neighbours is a real street. And they're just used to having camera crews filming outside it. And all the interiors are done somewhere else.
Ah.
I thought it was like that. But I never watched Brookside, so
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah. And finally, Corrie has fulfilled its Scottish quota for another year as Sam Robertson signs a new contract with the show. So Adam Barlow is going nowhere. Huzzah.
In more ways than one. Remember when we thought that he was leaving the show because his character wasn't getting any good storylines?
He's still not getting any good storylines, except for, being a lawyer to people in other storylines.
And seems to be the only lawyer that actually does any lawyering.
Well, Dee Dee just had all of that time to be Roy's lawyer, so Dee Dee's getting a break, and now it's Adam's turn.
I'm not sure that took up a
I'm not
whole lot
sure
of
if
our
that's
time.
how it works.
That is not the lawyers of a John Grisham novel, let's just put it that way.
Well, no. I don't think John Grisham ever set a novel in the United Kingdom.
Well,
for
maybe
one.
you should. Schedule.
And that's Corrie News.
That's Corrie News, and that leads us ever so seamlessly into our feedback section that I like to call Everyone's a Critic. Tara writes, I agree, Paul should have died at the end of Friday's episode, but I suspect he did it this way to show that Billy really was going to keep his promise and go through with it. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Now Paul will die naturally, and Billy won't live with the guilt of helping Paul end his life. P.S. I'm Canadian, and Tara is the common pronunciation here, whereas Tara is the British pronunciation. That's why it was such a treat to hear my name pronounced correctly by Gavin, and I'm sure my mum, who also loves the podcast and listens on the Canadian schedule, will feel vindicated hearing Gavin say, how else would you pronounce it? Well, how else would you pronounce it?
Right, yeah.
But you were right.
Yeah. I think here we do it both ways in the United States.
That's the rumour anyway. Well, that's excellent. I'm glad to get that cleared up because I was very conscious that by being told I was doing something right, I was instantly doing it wrong.
Right.
And hello to Tara's mum.
Yes. Hello, Mum.
Then John writes, while I'm hating the Stu helping Mason storyline, if it leads to Stu finding out that it was Mason who knocked down Eliza, then it might become interesting to see how Stu reacts. Hopefully, he banjos the twat.
With his guitar.
Yes, indeed. I'd never thought about that. It completely slipped my mind about Eliza and Mason's connection.
Because she's gone now, so we don't have to think about
we
her.
don't care about it. And not that we really ever did, but that's the connection there, I think.
Yeah.
I think John's spot on. And hopefully there will be some twat banjoing going on at some point.
Yes.
Then Thomas writes, Stu and Yasmin have zero chemistry. More Steve and Tim scenes. More Sally Daisy. Let others go. Wrap up Joel's story. Swain's daughter's unnecessary. At least try to explain Aggie's absence. Time for Addie and Asha to move on. So clearly a very satisfied Thomas there.
Have Sally and Daisy ever been in a scene together? Or is he just saying more Sally and more Daisy?
I think the latter, yeah.
Yes.
I don't think Sally and Daisy have ever been in each other's orbit.
No.
Wendy writes, I'm kind of worried that Paul's new brother will get involved if something happens to Paul. Billy left some weird tubes and broke up meds in the apartment. I hope it doesn't come back to bite them. And then Wendy has a host of cues that needs aid. I've taken my pick of the bunch in the interest of time. What do you feel was the worst storyline ever in the history of Coronation Street since you both have had the podcast?
Floating gun.
The floating gun. For me, it's Courtney Boobs. That was a dreadful storyline.
That was a dreadful storyline.
It was a dreadful storyline that you could see the writers and producers of the show realising how much of a dreadful storyline it was in real time.
Yes.
How does Helen expect to have a successful auction if she doesn't give us a hint on where we can maybe bid on some of the cool stuff?
Aw!
A fiver is in the post, Wendy. Thank you.
Well, I work for a company called Kelly's in Okemos, Michigan. So if you go to kellys.highbid.com.
And that's KELLIES.
Yes. KELLIES.highbid.com. That is where most of our auctions are posted. Right now we have a jewelry auction and we have an auction with a lot of cast iron banks. Some of them horribly offensive and racist.
Excellent.
Including one of Donald Trump.
That's maybe not so excellent. No politics, you.
I'm just stating that there's a cast iron bank in this auction.
That was talking to me.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I shouldn't bid on it for your Christmas then.
Is it flammable?
It's cast iron, so no.
Then don't bother.
Maybe I should
No
get it.
politics, you.
Maybe I should-
Honestly, people don't tune in to listen to you going on about politics. They tune in to have a lovely, friendly stroll down the week on Coronation Street with some profanity and some mental imagery of us two naked in it.
And sexual innuendo as far as the eye can see.
But not like that. What was the point of introducing the lovely health worker and then sending them off to London?
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously, Moses.
Seriously. And also, the stupid American boyfriend who is like talked up so much as this American Hollywood star is going to be in Coronation Street, and then he's there for like an episode and a half, and that's it. We're done.
Is wee Gav really in jail again? I worry about that. And I worry about Sabrina as well.
Okay, for a second I had to...
Not my penis.
No!
Oh.
I bet wee Gav next door.
Oh.
Who I can't remember if it's wee Gav's dad who's in prison or if it's his brother's dad who's in prison.
Skating on. I'm afraid that question has to go unanswered in the interest of the lawyers that are screaming them at you. What's worse, a big old motorcycle prop falling on you or a Christmas tree?
A motorcycle.
And what is the air speed velocity of an unladen swallow? It's approximately 20 miles an hour. If you look it up on Google, it tells you.
Yes.
There you go.
Does it still tell you on Google? Because Google's really like fucked up right now.
No, it tells you. So thank you to Wendy, to Thomas, to John, and to Tara for their wonderful feedback this week. We really appreciate it. Feedback is always welcome. Send us your thoughts and I will probably read them out. Get us at thetalkofthestreet@gmail.com or our DMs are open at Corrie Podcast. Please note that we reserve the right to edit feedback, but only in the interest of brevity. Sorry, Wendy. And now we'll podcast for coffee. This is bad news. I've finished drinking my first tin of ginger ale already.
I've already finished my homemade Arnold Palmer here.
And we're still...
And we haven't even gotten to the show yet.
We're still in the preamble.
I'm going to have to do a refill.
And we are drinking our own coffees. We're not drinking coffees. We're drinking as cold liquid as possible.
Yes.
I got a refresher from Starbucks earlier today.
Uh-huh. Was it as good as the Dunkin' Donuts one?
Nowhere near as good.
Ha-ha!
And the Big B one is nowhere near as good either.
No.
What I
The
wouldn't
Big
give...
one has Red Bull in it, doesn't it?
Nah, not all of them.
Okay.
What I wouldn't give for a strawberry and dragon fruit refresher right now.
I thought about grabbing some on the way home, but I just kind of wanted to get home.
The Talk of the Street is and will always be free on your podcast provider and on the YouTubes, but if you think our show is worth anything more than the time it takes to listen to it, you want to show your appreciation, you can buy us next week's coffee by going to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the Talk of the Street. Maybe a little holiday coffee for us as we nip off to Kansas.
To see Eisenhower.
Is he taking guests? I don't think he has much say in the matter anymore.
No.
You can also sign up to be a friend of the podcast through the same link, where for as little as $2 a month you can get a mention in the closing credits of each and every episode. And we now have a Patreon site where you can also show us some love and sign up as a friend of the podcast, patreon.com/the Talk of the Street. But please remember, you can always support the podcast for free. Get us in front of new listeners by liking, subscribing, rating and reviewing wherever you get your podcasts. All right.
All right.
Shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
The first storyline tonight is the day after. On Monday, Todd appears at the God flat. First thing to check to see what's going on, Billy is exhausted on the couch and explains about the kids and how Paul is catching up on sleep, and Todd is so relieved. He has to tell Billy about his suspicions from last week, and Billy confirms that Paul was going to end things and still intends on doing so. Later, Billy tells Paul that they have to be cleverer about concealing their intentions or just come clean with folk, which Paul obviously doesn't want to do. This last option is a non-starter, and Paul confirms that he still intends to check out, but he wants to see Gemma first. So Gemma pops round claiming the kids haven't stopped talking about how much of a banging time they had last night with their Uncle Billy and Paul.
Aw.
Paul thanks her for making him an uncle, and she still hasn't twigged what's going on, calls him a softie, and then fucks off. Meanwhile, Summer has gotten a text off of Felix. She bounds in, interrupting Billy and Paul, who have decided against finishing it tonight, but soon, and reveals that she's been dumped by text by Felix, who doesn't think they can maintain a long-distance relationship. And she is devastated, and I'm devastated as well, because it means that I'm never going to learn where Felix is supposed to be from.
And also she is terribly hungover. She looks awful. Her hair's like all mussed.
Yeah, she's a dirty stop-out coming home.
Yeah. Yeah, and yet Asha, who was with her,
Fresh as a daisy.
fine. fine.
I wonder if we're heading to a storyline of Summer's maybe partying a little bit too hard to compensate for what's happening at home, maybe.
Yeah, but I think we've already firmly established that it's not exactly safe for diabetics to be drinking that much.
From the 7 times that Summer's fallen over, yes,
Yeah.
I would agree. Paul is sorry, not sorry, and gets a hug from Summer. He never liked Felix anyway. We never noticed. Later, he tells Billy that he's chosen to stick around and let nature take its course. He has so much love from his friends and family, he doesn't want to add to their pain. He says there's always something to hang on for, so that's what he's going to do. And Billy is so relieved.
How do you feel about this?
I think it was obvious that this was what was going to happen based on last week, where he was one Chesney away from finishing it. In non-exaggerated terms, he was probably 5 minutes away from the end of his life.
Yeah.
And now he's decided not to. I really don't know what else they could do, to be honest. I think showing him taking his own life would have been too much.
Do you think, since that is the case, that maybe they shouldn't have they shouldn't have teased the story to begin with?
I think the sad fact is that they saw drama there
Yeah.
and went for it.
And then thought better of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a difficult balance, isn't it? They're there to entertain. That's the primary objective, I guess. Everything is manufactured. Any emotion that you feel from any storyline or situation on Coronation Street is manufactured because it's fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I feel a little... I still feel that if they were going to do it, you should have done it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can see where it's a fine line that they're threading. But if they're going to be brave enough to acknowledge that this is a path that many people take and we shouldn't cheapen those decisions, then maybe they should have followed through. But also, I mean, remember that show that was on Netflix where someone died by suicide and there was an awful lot of pushback as far as...
13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
Which I thoroughly enjoyed, as much as you can. I thought it was a great series.
Yeah. But I kind of feel like there's a way to do this. And it's not like the show's never had a suicide before.
No, when Haley's ex was exactly that. She was
Right.
faced with terminal cancer and
Chose to end her own life.
Chose to end her own life with the
Right.
assistance of Roy, yeah.
So, I don't know.
So we have gone there before.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. It just kind of feels like if we're going to introduce the possibility, then it's cowardice to back out.
But is it maybe reflective of the thought processes of someone in that situation? If it was me with that disease, I kind of think I would have been maybe thinking along Paul's lines.
Yeah.
And maybe changing my mind.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think maybe they were a victim of kind of doing last Friday's first 3 quarters so well that the last quarter did make us feel and made you feel particularly manipulated.
Yes. And for Paul to completely back out now, it feels like a double manipulation a little bit. Like, you've brought us to that edge, and now you're not just pulling back, you're pulling all the way back.
I saw some commentary that maybe what they should have done is he just passed in his sleep that night.
I would have been okay with that. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah, I think there were options available to them because he has very few happy days ahead of him.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah. How long are they going to draw this poor man's pain out?
And do we have something that has the emotional impact of what we had last week?
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's going to be difficult. So, on Wednesday, Billy's fretting like a hen in the hot girdle in preparation of a meeting with the Bishop. Bishop Greg. Imagine being nervous about meeting Bishop Greg. He's a cuddle and a Cossack. When he gets home later, he's covered in strawberry juice after a blind woman bumped into him. She was awaiting a cornea transplant, and this seems to give Paul an idea. He wants to donate his eyes when he dies. And Billy thinks this is a great idea, but Bernie's freaked the fuck out. Not the eyes, anything but the eyes. I'm with her on the eyes thing, though. There's something just very personal about eyes and donating your eyes.
Well, it's not like if I died and you donated my eyes, my corneas. It's not like you would be bumping into the person who has my eyes, like on the regular, and being like, "Oh my God, there's my wife's eyes."
Oh, you totally misunderstand me. I have no problem donating your eyes. It's my eyes that I'm worried about.
You'll be deed.
I know. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
But there's something just really weird about thinking about your eyes being in somebody else's head. I don't know.
I'd be fine with it. I can't have any of my stuff donated.
I doubt I can either, what with the mad cow disease and stuff. But
Gav has never had mad cow disease, by the way.
no, but I'm not allowed to give blood here because of
but
mad cow
I
disease.
think organs are. I think you could do organs.
If they're not taking my blood, I don't think they're taking my organs. And I'm not sure there's many of them that are fit for reuse anyway. But it was quite vindicating to hear Bernie say something that's been a personal inner trauma of mine for years. Just something about the eyes. The heart, the liver, the lungs.
Yeah, you don't see those.
Not
so.
a problem. Have at it. If you think you can get any mileage out of it, by all means. But the eyes is just something weird about it. Our interaction with the universe is all through it. It feels like our eyes are us. That's how I feel about it anyway.
How do you feel about like horror movies where stuff is done to eyeballs?
Oh, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. There's a film called The Eyes of Laura Mars that I watched when I was a wee boy with my granddad. And she gets stabbed in the eye. And I'd never seen anything so horrific in my life. And I think I've been kind of scarred ever since. Thanks, Grandad.
What is wrong with your granddad?
Grandad Alex. Grandad. On Friday, Summer is all dressed to the nines for a day out with Asha. Day out with Asha. What's she getting dressed up for? For a day out?
She does look like Olivia Newton-John in Grease, though. It's kind of funny.
Paul asks Asha about his cornea donation, but Asha doesn't know and is seemingly a little uncomfortable talking about it, but promises to find out. Bernie, though, is spooked again. And later, Dev shows up. He's like 75% Dev this week. He's there to make smoothies from leftovers, he says, and his mention of leftovers gets Bernie all fired up again. Paul realises that she's angry and realises why she's angry, but she refuses to listen to him and leaves. Later, Asher reports back that because of his condition, he can only donate his corneas to research. Paul's quite happy with this, and Bernie comes back and says that she can't stand him talking about the time when he won't be there. She wants him to stop talking about it, to just be, and it's all too much for her. So Paul explains his plan from last week, and after the shock, in a few moments of making it all about Bernie, she thanks him for telling her, and he asks her to flush the benzos. She says that she couldn't be prouder of him. And that's how we end that storyline this week.
Yeah, so the drugs that Abby took so much effort to get for Paul have now gone down the drain.
Yep.
That's it.
Or we just see Bernie kind of just pouring them into the sink where it looks like she just left them.
It was
Maybe
funny.
they'll be mistaken for dishwasher tabs. Who knows?
Who knows? It was funny. She's like, I could just sell these.
Yeah, typical Bernie, right?
Yep. Typical Bernie.
Typical fucking Bernie.
How hilarious was it that Summer comes out looking like Olivia Newton-John in Grease, and then like they shame her into changing, and she comes out wearing a t-shirt with like a sundress over the t-shirt, and looking like she's 12 again.
Was it leather trousers she was wearing? She claims that it took her 20 minutes to get into them.
Yeah, I think they were. I think they were literally Olivia Newton-John's pants.
I didn't really understand what all that was about.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure why she was so dressed up to go out with Asha in the middle of the day.
Because she's looking for a new man.
Is that what it is?
In the middle of the day.
That Felix thing, though, really was peculiar.
It was so unnecessary.
What did he achieve?
What was the point? What was the point of him? Just to annoy Paul and make fun of Americans? And their water bottles?
And to be fair, Americans do such a good job of that on their own.
We do love our water bottles.
We even name them, don't we? Where's Big Bertha? I've heard been mentioned in this house more than once. And
Yes.
It took me a little while to wonder what the fuck everyone's talking about. It's an enormous water bottle.
Yes. Yes. But that's the only water bottle in this house that's named. And that's
Don't say that like, well, that makes it normal then.
and it's gigantic. And it was named by a teenager. So it's fine. It's not like your water. You don't have a water bottle.
Look, I'm Scottish.
Do you drink water?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, in restaurants.
And at work.
Ah.
I drink water all the time at work. Well, I have a little routine. Coffee.
Uh-huh.
Peach iced tea.
Uh-huh.
One of these bad boys.
Uh-huh.
Calendar dry. And then in the afternoon, I'm all about the water.
Ah. So healthy.
Like to hydrate. No, Felix turned up to be dumped. To make Summer vulnerable and down in the dumps. So Paul
would not die.
would see the reason for staying around.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that Felix was in the show.
Yeah.
But hey, the guy got
And-
a check, right?
yeah,
You've got to
yeah.
imagine the guy got a
And
check
here-
out of that.
And here, supposedly, Coronation Street is having a hard time paying people to be on the show.
Not if they're only in it for an episode and a half.
Yeah,
Surely even Corrie can manage that thanks to the Argos money.
but did they fly the guy over from America?
He's not
from
American.
Hollywood?
He was not American.
He's a Hollywood movie star. He was in that one movie with Tom Hanks.
All right,
All
let's
right.
move on. Our next storyline is Hugo Beth.
Does that work?
No. It sounded better in my head. Doesn't look great written down either, I have to admit. It's a pun on Hugo Boss.
Well, we get
I
it.
didn't say it for your benefit. On Monday, Beth meets Kirk in Nina's Rolls. She has a brown envelope full of money that she wants him to look after. He's obviously worried about where this cash has come from, so Beth tells him it's a special surprise for Kirk. Craig reluctantly agrees. At work, Beth is moving her stuff out of her locker to give Betsy some room, and Kirk finds a pamphlet that's fallen out onto the floor for someone's 50th birthday party in Marbella. Kirk is suddenly very interested in this. Beth says it's just a school friend and she's not going to the party, and she tells Kirk to shut the fuck up about it. In Devs, Kirk talks to Craig about what he found and said his head is arguing with his heart about this, thinking that Beth is still getting pumped by Marco.
God, remember Marco? Polo.
I do.
It feels like forever ago, doesn't it?
I was watching some of my Corrie in under 4 minutes that I put together a couple of years ago, and it was round about the Marco storyline. That was almost an interesting Kirk story. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh well.
And then they fucked it up.
Well, then they split up, and you're like, oh well, they split
Okay.
maybe something interesting. No, they'll just go back
No,
together.
yeah.
Okay. Craig is taken back by this, but does his best to calm him down. In the pub later, Craig accuses Beth of using the cash to go to Spain to get her hold of a Marco.
Polo.
So Beth has to admit that the money is for a surprise wedding to Kirk.
Polo.
Okay. On Wednesday, Beth is secretly paying Betsy for her secret fake designer work.
Yeah, by sticking her hand in her back pocket, the perv.
And she's nearly caught by Izzy. Beth thinks that maybe Donnie, her contact, has a full lockup now, so she wants to let the dust settle before they make any more gear. Betsy does not look like she wants the dust to settle. Later, at Nina's rolls, Brian slips PC Tinker some wedding magazines,
But not like that.
and that makes Maria now in the circle of trust. Beth is looking for the venue of her dreams. Back at work, Beth sees the price of her dream venue, so Betsy suggests that they need to make more gear. Beth gets put onto an alternative outlet, but their number requirements and their time requirements will mean that they'll need to recruit because they have to make, 500 t-shirts overnight. So they have a word with Izzy, who's dead against it until she finds out how much money's involved. She might even be able to get Jake on holiday. On the street, Beth runs into Craig, who shows her a venue in Wigan, but Beth has her mindset on a different, lovelier place. And Craig wonders how she can possibly afford it, so Beth tells her son to go fuck himself, and she heads off to work under the light of the little miners' helmets, sewn like their lives depended on it, with Betsy and Izzy. It's nice to see all them involved together in a little storyline, which is kind of quite good fun.
Yes.
Now, there was a scene on Wednesday's Corrie of Kirk talking to Maria and Fizz about their holidays from their childhood, where Kirk says that they've went to all the holiday parks between Land's End and Johnny Groats, and he has to be disabused of this is actually John O'Groats. And Kirk laughs maniacally for a little bit, and then paused for just a fraction of a second where I thought he was going to burst out crying. And I imagined that moment being the start of a possibly award-winning storyline dealing with Kirk and his obviously severe depression.
Wow. You should be writing for this show. I would watch the heck out of that.
Doesn't that sound good?
Yes. Yes, please.
Kirk gets a serious storyline that explains why he's Kirk.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like Robin Williams.
Sort of, yeah.
Who, just does really outlandish things all the time just to mask his own depression.
There's that man walking up and down the street on Christmas Day with
With
a yo-yo.
yo-yo. He must be depressed.
He's clearly, obviously, severely depressed.
Yes.
So here we have a storyline about men's mental health
Yeah.
involving Kirk
Yeah.
that kind of explains why Kirk's the way that Kirk is. I think that's a winner. And it gives Andy Wyman, finally, something to get
do.
his teeth into.
Yeah. Maybe that'll happen after Beth leaves.
It was such a micro expression.
Right. Yeah. Where he's looking at Maria and Fizz, expecting them to start laughing as well, and they don't.
People never do. People just kind of turn up their noses at him a little bit, or
Right.
or scrunch their faces up in kind of confusion as to
Right.
what the fuck's Kirk talking about now?
Yeah. And then he insists that it's the Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Yeah, I kind of lost it at that point. I thought that kind of ruined it. But up to that point, this was on the table and this was going to happen. It just felt like the most natural thing in the world for them to go in this direction.
Mm-hmm. And then
And
it
if they
didn't.
do, I think I kind of want a little bit of credit in this.
Yeah, you deserve a writer's credit, which is why they'll never do the storyline.
No. They'll just continue to steal from a book. They never did.
And from your memes.
That they have done
Yes.
a few times.
And other podcasts.
Other podcasts?
Other podcasts have stolen from your memes.
Oh, North of Weatherfield did a London.
Yes.
They're stealing from the show. They're vicariously stealing from me.
Right, yes, because you're the
But
one.
then I was stealing from the show to begin with.
No, you were just pointing it out
Thank you.
by putting them all together.
All right. I don't like to talk about that, though. On Friday, Beth, Betsy and Izzy have done an all-nighter and have completed the order. Beth hides the box just as Carla comes in, surprised that they're all in so early, and Betsy claims that she was in to get some practicing on the gussets. But later, the box is accidentally picked up by Kirk and taken out for delivery.
Because of course it is.
Sure.
It was in the storeroom.
Beth tries to call him 10 seconds after he's left.
Right.
If she runs, she'd catch him.
She looked like she did that as well, but she didn't catch him in time.
So
It was in a storeroom. It wasn't even with the rest of the things that could be delivered. Why did he think that it was something to deliver?
I don't know. He's depressed. So he loads it onto the van and it's driven off. And it's a bad line, obviously, so he can't hear what Beth's trying to tell him. But the guy shows up wanting to pick up the box and he has some important people waiting. Says that their mutual friend will not be happy. Beth asks for a few hours to fix things. Meanwhile, Izzy is so tired her gussets are back to front. But Carla reckons that she's covering for Betsy. Just as the gang think that they're flying under the radar, she gets a call from a confused client wondering why they've been sent a box of T-shirts. And Carla's like, we don't make T-shirts. And then she quickly puts two and two together.
And then the shoe drops.
Yes. She calls the three amigos into her office and accuses them of the side hustle, says that she'll be passing the box to the police when it comes back. And Beth, fuck you, Carla, I've had enough of this shit. And she quits on the spot. She tries to get a gig with the guy doing the counterfeits later in the pub, but he's in no mood to agree to anything until he gets his fucking T-shirts. And that is as far as we get with that this week.
Yeah.
I like the storyline. It's making me like Betsy a little bit more again.
Yeah, because she and Izzy and Beth were really kind of cute together.
They were.
Joking around and stuff.
They were partners in crime.
Yeah.
And Izzy was no commenting everything, which made her look guilty as hell.
It did. But
Because
poor Izzy, she's only done this once. She's never even gotten paid.
That's right. No, I like this. And if this is the start of Beth's exit story, again, what a shame that somebody has to leave to get a good story for the first time in a couple of years.
Ages. Well, she did have Marco. That was kind of a good story.
It was a good story.
Yeah. It just didn't go on long enough.
And it didn't really deliver anything at the end of it.
No, that's
Do you
true.
think that she and Kirk are going to get married?
No.
There was your favourite thing, though, happened this week.
Kirk talked about his and Beth's sex life.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly. Did Beth not say that she has to pretend to be asleep or something to stop him humping her? Or there was something along those lines, wasn't there? Did I just imagine that again?
She said something about their sex life, but it wasn't pretending to be asleep.
I thought there was
She
something.
likes to have sex with him.
But I thought there was something that she has to do once she's had hers to kind of cool his jets a little bit. I've clearly misheard something, or I'm just making it up.
Is this part of
Charlie
one of those
isn't
dreams
standing
of
in
Charlie's?
Charlie's not standing in the
This
corner.
isn't a Charlie dream, is it?
No,
Okay.
facing the corner of the room. That's not happening in this week.
Wait, you had a Charlie Blair Witch dream?
Not this week.
Is it you in the corner or Charlie?
I'll never tell.
Okay.
Your secret's safe, Charlie. So, I don't know what that means.
Why are we so weird about this very nice man?
Yeah, he doesn't like us anymore.
He does. You forgot where you were.
I'm trying to think of what.
Oh yeah, no, we were talking about the storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like it because I like the Betsy seems to be Beth's, mini me at the moment, and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Beth has actually found somebody that is just like her, and that she can be nice to because she's just like her. Mm-hmm. They sass one another, and I think that's good.
And Betsy has youth on her side.
She does, and a very flat stomach,
Yeah, because she's wearing that crop
like half shirt. Yeah,
2 days in a row because they worked
Yeah.
through the night.
yeah,
And I thought that was what was going to tip Carla off,
but
but I don't think it did.
it didn't.
But it's a nice kind of sitcom dynamic of the three of them trying to get something past the evil crotchety boss that just, I don't know, it just works very well.
Yes,
And it makes Carla, gives her some pretty funny lines as well.
yes.
All right, we'll move on to Videodrone. Oh, not an awful lot of this made sense. See what you think. On Monday, first thing on Monday morning, Tyrone immediately let slip that Jack knows about Abby's fake porno. after all that last week,
Yeah.
it takes like 2 seconds of Kev
Right.
going back to work and Tyrone just spills.
Right, yeah, but Tyrone wasn't sworn to secrecy.
Exactly, because Hope wasn't sworn to secrecy.
Correct.
And Hope's been blabbing, and it's all around school, which is kind of funny because they're all on holiday. So Kev runs home to quiz Jack with Abby, but he just wants to forget all about it. That's Jack.
Yeah.
Kev explains
Which is the right response
Yes.
of a teenage boy whose mother has been put in revenge porn.
Yeah. I don't want to know anything about this.
Yeah.
Quite right. Kev explains it's all that prick ITV Stefan's fault. Jack's just finished saying, I don't want to know anything about this.
Right.
Abby blames herself for not being open to Jack, and then Kev gets a call from ITV Stefan wanting a meet-up. He wants all this a feuding and a fussing to come to an end. So Kev and Abby leave, and ITV Stefan turns up on Kev's door,
Yeah.
speaks to Jack, claims to be a car hire owner looking to get a servicing agreement, and so Jack stupidly invites him in to wait. And it gets worse when he allows ITV Stefan to make himself a cuppa and then pretend that the milk's turned. So Jack is happy to leave this perfect stranger in the house while he nips off to the shops. So,
Jack, I thought you were smart.
yeah.
Eh,
Well, not smart, but smarter than this.
Yeah.
Because this is
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
like he's like,
8-year-old dumb.
Oh, I'm gonna make you a cup of tea. Oh no, I'll make it myself. No, you won't make it yourself. Take a seat, sir. I don't want you, roaming around my house.
Right.
It's impolite for me to allow you to make yourself a cup of tea.
And it's impolite for you, sir. You, sir.
You.
It's impolite for you to request to come in and wait when it's just a young man that's in the
Right.
house. That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But Jack's stupidity
Yeah.
just... What was he thinking? Was he thinking,
know.
well, I've got to do this for my dad and
Right.
this will bring my dad's business and stuff. But if somebody wants to do business with Kev, they'll wait for half an hour in the cafe
Right,
and then come
yeah.
and then come back.
Yeah. Or go to his place of business and not his home.
Right. So Kev and Abby get back from the meeting where ITV Stefan didn't show up.
What?
And from Jack's stupid story, they realise it was ITV Stefan who came in, and he's also managed to steal the burner phone. He was alone for 5 minutes in an unfamiliar house, managed to find a phone and leave
Upstairs.
upstairs in 5 minutes. See
Did
if it's-
Kev just have it like on his nightstand or something?
or in his burner phone drawer in his office?
None of this makes sense.
It's like, how long does it take you to find your keys when you lose your keys? You're like looking for them for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to find keys in a house where you know there's a limited amount of places it can be.
Correct.
But ITV Stefan can find his phone in less than 5 minutes and,
Yeah.
and be
In
out.
a house he's never been in before.
That's hilarious. So that's our plan fucked. Thanks, Jack. Kev wants to go and bash ITV Stefan's brains in, but Abby quickly calls him to heel. So it's Abby who goes to see ITV Stefan and threatens to bash his brains in. And she calls him cruel for dragging Jack into it. ITV Stefan does not give a shit
He does not give a fuck.
and tells her that the phone is now swimming with the fishies, see? He tells Abby it's over. Meanwhile, as Kev's at the garage... Oh, listen to me. Meanwhile, as Kev's at the garage bringing Kev up to speed, PC Tinker arrives to arrest Kev for burglary. Well done, PC Tinker. You've now arrested the entire street. At home, Jack is fucking furious because he saw ITV Stefan swanning about like Cock of the North in his fancy car. What was ITV Stefan doing? Just driving up and down Coronation Street for shits and giggles?
I don't know. It's weird.
There must be better ways to tell us that Jack now knows what ITV Stefan's car looks like.
Yeah.
There has to be better ways.
Yeah.
Life isn't fair, he says. Abby has some news to tell Jack about Kev getting lifted. At the cop shop, Kev's getting grilled by PC Tinker over the alleged deepfake of Kev doing the burglary a few weeks ago. I forgot about that. Remember, there was footage of Kev
Yeah.
doing the burglary and they said it was a fake.
Well, Tyrone said it was a deep fake.
Yeah, because Tyrone's an expert on this.
Yes, he is.
Tinker now remembers how cagey Kev was about all that shite, so Kev admits it and is let go. At home, everyone is sure Kev will get away with just community service. And then Jack says he's off to hang out with Hope's, and then Abby says she's off for a walk and she wants to be alone. And when she gets back with a Freshco's bag, Kev has seen on the news that ITV Stefan's office has been set on fire. Interesting, says Abby, while Kev looks at Abby like her perfume is regular unleaded.
The fucking nerve of that guy. And it gets worse.
We're all meant to think that Abby did this, right? That's what they would like us to think.
I did not think for a second Abby did this.
No, it's too obvious. On Wednesday, Abby notices Jack running around like a blue-arsed flea trying to make up for his snafu yesterday, but Kev is far more interested in accusing his wife of being behind the arson attack on ITV Stefan's car, which quickly spread from the car to the office.
Yeah, how does that happen? Wait, it's like a big office building, right?
Who knows?
We haven't really seen the outside of it.
We haven't. So it could look like anything.
But yeah, typically there's the parking lot or the car park, if you prefer. And then there's like a sidewalk
Or pavement.
around the building before you get to the door.
No, apparently in Manchester it's common for the owner to park the car inside the office. In the foyer.
Or just like right up to the door, like on the sidewalk. Or pavement, if you prefer.
Yeah, next to the most flammable or inflammable part of the building.
Right, yes. What is this building made of?
Fireworks.
Is it made of wood? Is this Mrs. Brown's barn that his office is in?
No, he's a magazine magnet. It's made of paper. Glossy paper, though. But Kev
so it's a
points
very
on...
colourful fire.
Kev points out that Abby has form. Just ask Ray Weinstein. Because she did. She blew up his Porsche.
Yeah, but that was different. And it was.
How so?
Because Ray Weinstein deserved it.
Well, I think ITV Stefan deserves it as well.
Well, see, here's the thing. We don't know.
We don't know, and I doubt very much that he has anything to do with the deepfakes.
We don't know what the situation is as far as ITV Stefan and the revenge porn.
I agree.
He could have nothing to do with it.
I believe that's the case.
Except, of course, that his son has something to do with it.
I just think that he likes winding these assholes up.
Yeah.
He's very good at winding them up.
He is very good at winding them up.
And he does not care.
He doesn't care. It's where his son got it from. The not caring. But Ray Weinstein absolutely did what he got his car blown up for.
That's why we call it the Rape Hotel, right?
That's correct.
Furious, Abby storms off to work. And once there... Swain shows up and lifts Kev and Abby for questioning. It seems ITV Stefan is lucky to be alive. At the cop shop, Abby...
Because of smoke inhalation from his car.
What are you saying like that for?
10 feet away.
Abby paints a picture of aimless driving and a quick spot shopping at Freshco's and then heading home. And then Swain produces ITV Stefan's doorbell cam, which shows Abby wearing the same hoodie she has on now, the filthy bitch, half an hour before the arson attack. She admits to thinking about it and panning his windows in, but she didn't. Swain lets her go pending the results of a traffic cam CCTV. Because if Abby was where she says she was, then there's no further action.
Right, yes.
Back home, Kev's in the mood to shout at Abby for being at ITV Stefan's and is still of the opinion that Abby is guilty of sin.
Yes, this is the man who went and tried to beat up ITV Stefan and broke into his office and stole his phone. He's done more to ITV Stefan than Abby ever has. And is also an asshole, and Abby should divorce him right away.
Abby storms off again. At work, she learns that Tyrone was at the movies with Hope and Ruby last night, And this gets Abby's brain ticking, so she goes home and has a word with Jack, who had claimed to be hanging out with Hope.
What do you think they went to see?
Terrifier 2. Jack is dodgy when he asks what they got up to, so Abby comes out and just accuses him of being the one who set fire to ITV Stefan's car. He admits it. It were him what done it. Kev comes in, quickly gets up to speed, and shouts at Jack for a bit. Privately, Abby and Kev discuss what's to be done. Kev blames himself correctly.
Yes.
Abby suggests that they keep quiet and let the investigation run its course, but Kev isn't buying that cheese. He leaves and in the passing tells Debbie that he's off to take the rap for Jack, but when he gets to the cop shop, he's too late because Jack's already phoned and basically handed himself in.
Correct.
He'll be in his 60s by the time he gets out of prison, so a 6-month sentence then. And that's this week's Joke of the Week.
Will there be special accommodations be made in prison for him, considering he only has one leg?
I would think.
Or do you think the show is just fully, completely, 100% forgotten about that?
Do you think that Jack would be worried that... I was going to say... Do you think Jack would be worried that his leg would burn, but it's not wooden? So,
No, he's not a pirate.
No. No.
Not yet, anyway.
They should remind us of this, because I think it's a great aspect of Jack's character that he's this kid that's got one leg. It doesn't bother him. It doesn't seem to bother anybody else that's round about him.
Because everybody's forgotten about it.
But-
And at this point, he should have gotten a new prosthetic because he's grown significantly since they cut his leg off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should have been a storyline.
Because we're never going to forget this.
We're never going to forget this.
And Twitter's never going to forget this
It's
either.
never going to forget this, no matter how many Nazis are on there.
No matter how many Nazis are on Twitter, there'll always be a little corner of it talking about Jack's false leg.
On Coronation Street.
Yeah. So they should bring it in, but the reason that it don't, presumably, is they have to special effects it out.
Right, yeah. This is why we haven't seen Ryan in ages.
On Friday, Jack seems to have been let go, but then is dragged back to the cop shop in the morning. In the interview room, weirdly, it's Debbie who's with him, and Adam.
Yeah.
Kev and Abby aren't there.
No, yeah, because Abby is at home with
Bertie.
and Kev is
Bertie? No, Alfie.
Bernie. No, Alfie. That's right.
She's babysitting a grown woman. To make sure she doesn't try and flush any more benzos down the sink. Put those benzos down. Those benzos look familiar.
Yeah, and Kev has to work. So Debbie is the responsible adult because a responsible adult has to be there because he's a minor.
And she's
And
there.
Adam doesn't count because he's a lawyer.
And she's there
With a fan.
And she's such a diva queen. Fucking love Debbie. More of this, please.
More of Debbie and her fan.
Oh. And it
That
was a
was
fancy fan as well.
Great. I loved it.
It wasn't just like a pamphlet that she'd picked up in the
No,
cop
it was
shop.
a folding fan.
A proper fan
Yeah.
serving its purpose.
Yes.
If only it had coquettishly hidden part of Debbie's face.
Debbie is no coquette.
No. Kev and Abby are too busy changing the alternator on a 2015 Renault Clio. Swain is keen to get the details and doesn't believe that Jack didn't think ITV Stefan was in the building. After all, his car was parked there, so what did he think?
Right, yeah.
Boom, checkmate.
Yes, seriously. Oh, I think he just left his car there.
I just think he walked home.
But also, he was just setting the car on fire. He had no idea that the fire would open the door to the car, walk over to the office, open the office door,
No.
and make itself at home.
No, let's be serious for a second. The fire would have to scan itself in using its visitor pass to get into the building.
That's true.
Swain decides to go after him for arson with intent to endanger life, which sounds very close to attempted murder to me. Jack is charged. Back home, Kev and Abby think Jack should plead not guilty. Adam advises the opposite. The Nina's rolls, Kev is proud of Jack and is confident that he's going to get away with this. You're going nowhere, he says.
Kev's like,
The kiss of death.
Kev's like, I'm proud of you, son. And Jack's like, for what? I did a bad thing. Yeah, but you didn't let the cops break you down. What? And also, this is his first offense. It's his first offense.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one, though.
Yeah, but one could argue that because it's his first offense, maybe it shouldn't be a pretty big one. Maybe he genuinely did just want to light a car on fire.
Which isn't nothing.
Which isn't nothing, but it's not, I expect this car fire to jump into the building and murder people. He did not light the office on fire. And there are so many doors in an office building. There's an elevator in an office building. There are corridors in an office building. It should not have spread to upstairs where ITV Stefan's office was.
You're making an awful lot of assumptions about a building that we have admitted that we don't know what it looks like.
It is a major national magazine.
I don't know if it's national.
It's national.
It's Hiya magazine, for fuck's sake.
It's Hiya. And also others. Remember, he owns
lots
a
of
number
others,
of
yeah.
magazines in that one building. So it's got to be a pretty big building.
Nah, I think the publisher.
Unless everybody's
Arm.
working from home.
Yeah, see, post-COVID, you never know. So anyway, Kev is proud of Jack, confident that he's going to get away with this. You're going nowhere, he says, just as Al Pacino comes in to kiss Jack on both cheeks.
And to grab his ears.
But Kev is up in front of the Beaks himself tomorrow, and Abby says it's time for her to step up and be the strength of this family. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, Abby? Time for you to step up.
It's all about the family. If we've learned nothing from the Fast and the Furious movies.
And we haven't. That was a remarkably stupid storyline that had front and centre in this week's Corrie.
It's so dumb. The kid lit a car on fire and it jumped to an office building. And the fire got so bad that one man has smoke inhalation issues.
But isn't it great that Jack does this after hanging out with Hope for a little bit?
Right? And also, isn't it weird? He's like, you know, when Abby first asks him about what they were doing, the first words out of his mouth is, look, I don't fancy her, okay? And I was like, yeah, you shouldn't, because she's like, what, 2-3 years younger than you? That would be weird. He's older than Hope and Sam and stuff, isn't he? Because they've never hung out before, and now all of a sudden they're hanging out. It's kind of weird.
Well, see, I thought it was weird because Jack looks so much older than the character he's portraying.
Right, he's in his 40s.
For the purposes of that joke, yes, he's an old man who's...
He's married with 4 kids.
Right.
And a mortgage.
He's mortgaged up to the hilt. He, though, is supposedly just shy of his 14th birthday.
What?
He was born in 2010.
What?
So he's 2 years younger than Stelly.
What? No, that can't possibly be true. And how old is Hope supposed to be?
She's 2 months younger.
What?
So they're the same age.
Okay. That doesn't make any sense. Then they should have been hanging out when they were little as well, and they didn't. Especially since Kev and Tyrone are co-workers. You'd think that they would have hung out well before now, and they never did.
Sam is a year younger, or 6 months younger or so.
Right.
He's born 2011.
Hope used to hang out with Joseph, and Joseph is significantly younger, isn't he?
Do you want me to look up the ages of all the kids?
Yes.
Jack used to hang out with Liam, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and then all of a sudden Liam's hanging out with Dylan. And then getting bullied by Mason. Yeah, Jack used to...
Joseph is the same age as Sam.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Ish.
Ish. Still, it was just really weird that like the first words out of his mouth are, "I don't fancy her." Mm-hmm. It was weird.
So yeah, I wonder if this storyline is. Could it be a setup for Jack to go off for a while, and when he comes back, he's portrayed by an actor who's a little closer to the character's age?
Shorter.
I think when Kieran got this, he looked that age.
Yeah.
But
and then all of a sudden he had this
who
growth
knows
spurt.
exactly who knows how teenagers grow? You can't predict it because he's taller than Kev. He's certainly taller than Abby and Debbie. He's the tallest person in that house. So when he talks about, playing video games and drinking pop, it's difficult to reconcile that with the way the character looks, and it's obviously not his fault.
No, and I like that. I like that actor. I think he's good in the role.
I think he's good. I think he's getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wish that they would remember that he has a prosthetic leg every once in a while.
Yeah. So an awful lot of things not making sense, all happening one after the other.
Right. Yeah. It's the floating gun all over again.
We're never going to know what was on that phone that ITV Stefan was so desperate to.
Right.
keep.
Yeah. Because it's in the river now.
Yeah. It belongs to the fishies.
Yeah. Unless they go magnet fishing. But who has time for that?
I don't. So let's move on to our next storyline. Reality coding bites. Just a few scenes on Monday here.
Blessedly so.
Yes, Amy's getting ready to fuck off on the Institute retreat. What an opportunity to network and, according to Leanne, maybe even get her whole. Rowan has a great feeling about Amy. Then Nick arrives and Rowan is keen for a word. They go into the office and he wants that 20k investment or he'll change his mind and press charges. Now this was kind of strange to me because I thought Nick had already agreed to give 20 grand, and surely what Rowan should be doing is pushing for more. But
Yeah.
what he's basically doing here is saying, you need to give me that money you promised that you're going to give me.
Right.
Okay.
Sure. He
So-
must know that he can't press them for more because they don't have more.
So Nick agrees. On his way out, Rowan mysteriously tells Leanne that he has something important to talk to her about when he gets back from the retreat. Back home, Leanne tells Nick about her concerns about the important discussion, and she's worried about being chucked out of the Institute. Nick thinks that would be for the best. Then after Leanne goes on about it, Nick confirms that he's going to pay that 20 grand. Throughout this, Audrey and Rita had chatted to Amy about the getaway, and there's a lovely scene in The Rovers where the two of them are chatting about Rita's holiday to Mallorca in 1974 with all the gals from the street. Audrey proposes a last hurrah, and that's as far as we get with that.
Yes. It's funny, Mary trying to get a invitation to go on this retreat, which she thinks is a business retreat.
I think that's how Amy's pitching it. And
Yeah.
I think that's maybe how it's been pitched to Amy. That this is something that's going to give her business skills.
Yeah. It's not.
Well, it's not anything, is it? I suppose it's life skills,
It's funny,
arguably.
It's funny the whole thing with Leanne saying, who knows, maybe you'll find yourself a fella. And Amy's like, that's not why I'm going.
Right.
What decade do you think this is, Leanne?
Well, what happens on the Institute retreat stays on the Institute retreat. Am I right?
Ugh.
Nick, did he cry today? I don't think he did.
No, because Toya wasn't there.
That's right. All right.
Or Sam.
Or David. He cries in front of David as well.
That's true.
Okay, moving on then.
Especially when David shits in the street.
Our penultimate, absolutely. Our penultimate, because it's just something else for him to clear up. Mm-hmm. Our penultimate storyline tonight, Alina popping back.
Alina pops up.
On Wednesday, well, not yet. On Wednesday, Fizz is alive and is moaning at Tyrone to go out somewhere fancy for lunch, but he's snowed under because Kevin and Abby have been arrested in another storyline. Later in Nina's roles, Fizz is cornered by Debbie, who shows her the Weather Gazette. It seems a people smuggler gang from Romania are up on trial in Manchester, and Alina Pop is likely to be brought in as a star witness. I thought it was quite funny that Rita and Debbie both remembered what Alina's last name was.
Yes. Pop.
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 This is news to Fizz and will be to Tyrone too. When Tyrone gets home, he's hungry for crispy pancakes. Fizz is about to tell...
Yes, because we have another leftovers storyline this week. Leftovers of the week.
Fizz is about to tell him about Alina, but he's too hungry for the crispy pancakes.
And also knackered.
Beans and smiley faces.
He needs to take a nap.
And he's nipping off for a shite while
And a
he's
nap.
waiting. And the moment passes. I used to love crispy pancakes. We don't get them here.
No. We like our pancakes fluffy.
Findus crispy pancakes stuffed with a kind of condensed chicken soup and ham, little ham cubes over a breaded, that's right, a breaded pancake to make it crispy. So
So it's not like a crepe then.
it is about as far away from a crepe as you could possibly get.
So
And
what makes
still
it
be a pancake.
So what makes it crispy?
All the breadcrumbs.
So it's not the pancake itself that's crispy, it's the breadcrumbs on top of the pancake.
Certainly.
So the pancake itself is still fluffy.
I wouldn't say it's fluffy. I would say it's, and forgive me, I'm going to use the word moist here.
How can it be moist and crispy?
Moist on the inside, crispy on the outside. Ooh, now you're talking.
This sounds like the worst British food I've ever heard of in my entire life.
I used to have...
And I actually love British food.
It's interesting that Tyrone wants smiley faces with him because...
Well, he doesn't. He says, surely we have chips in the freezer. And she's like, well, we do, but we're gonna get rid of these fucking smiley faces first. Shut the fuck up. And also Alina Pop.
Yeah, but why does Fizz have such a violent reaction to the idea of having maybe chips with crispy pancakes?
Also, is it just starch that they're eating?
Well, there's
Where
beans.
are the vegetables?
There's beans.
That doesn't count.
There's beans there. What I used to enjoy with my crispy pancakes, bird's eye potato waffles.
So you'd have pancakes and waffles.
And beans. The thing about you need to know about bird's eye potato waffles, they're waffly versatile.
And they're made of potatoes.
And they're like little...
They're shaped like waffles.
Yeah.
They're like waffle fries, only bigger.
Yeah, and with recognisable holes.
Recognizable holes in waffle fries.
Yeah, sometimes it's all fried, there's no hole.
I've never gotten that complaint before.
I need to move on.
I don't know what that means.
No, nobody does. If you have any idea, the talk of the street at gmail.com.
Please don't email us.
Or corriepodcast at gmail.com. I got that as well. But rather than cook dinner, she fucks off to the pub with Maria and Kirk, talks about Alina coming back and how she and Ty could really do with a holiday. On Friday...
Because Hope's been complaining about having a holiday. But then Fizz reminisces about the fact that they just went to Italy.
Yes. That was how she came back to the show.
Right. So, what?
On Friday, Ruby has blackheads while Fizz has booked a holiday, but Tyrone isn't thrilled. It seems it's a cabin holiday. I listened to that about 5 times and I could not understand where this holiday was supposed to be. Was it Great Yarmouth? I don't know.
I don't know, but it sounded cute. And also, I love the fact that Fizz is exactly like me when her kids get a pimple.
He doesn't think it's the best time to go with Kev's situation in another storyline, but he's on his laptop as they talk about Jack, which Hope overhears, and it looks like Hope is maybe seeing Jack in a new light when she learns that he's been done for arson. And not just arson
Or
around.
maybe that she knows something further about this that she's not letting on.
Maybe.
Maybe she's the one who taught Jack how to light a fire in a car so that it jumps into an office building using a baby doll head
And a
as a
floating gun.
Molotov cocktail.
Now, this is the start of something that we've been predicting.
Forever.
And I think everyone's been predicting.
Yes.
For a good year and a half.
Alina
or
Pop.
pretty much ever since Alina popped off for the first time,
Yes.
drinking orange juice
Yes.
in the airport,
Yes.
clearly pregnant,
Yes.
and she's going to be coming back. Finally, she's
Yes.
coming back. Now, I imagined this to be a Christmas warmer, a little
Yeah.
story in December, but here we are.
Yeah, it sounds like we're gonna
just
get
in
it sooner.
August of her coming back. Well, I'm confused how they know. Everyone seems to be just assuming that she's coming back, because I don't think the newspaper's going to list, oh, by the way, the star witness is
Right.
Alina Pop.
Yes, but everybody knows that Alina Pop was the whistleblower.
Right. So
And
it
how
looks
brave
like she's
she
coming
was.
back, and I am very much looking forward to seeing
Her tattoo?
Alina back, and I want to get a little reminder of Tyrone's Union Jack and Romanian flag tattoo that he
Yeah.
has on his ankle, that she also has
Yeah.
on the small of her back, I think it was. That kind of tramp stamp area.
Why would she not get it on her ankle as well? What is the show trying to say to us here about women and tattoos?
And I had a little look at Tyrone's tattoo of this again. And to their credit, they did shave the hair off his leg, but exactly the size of the tattoo.
Right, which
Not-
is what you would do.
No, you'd go much further round it. And it's clearly drawn on in a biro.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really enjoyed this storyline. It's good to get Alina's name mentioned again. This is the cat being introduced to the pigeons that we've been waiting for a year and a half
Yes.
or so. And
Yes.
I, for one, cannot wait.
Yes.
Because Fizz and Tyrone have been getting on pretty well.
Yeah, because they've barely been in the show, and Fizz was away.
Right.
This only gives me hope that Phil with 2 L's can't be too far behind.
And whisked Tyrone away
Yes.
to play with cement and water.
Shirtless.
And bottomless. Our final storyline tonight. Where in the world is pregnant Irish racist Kelly? On Monday, Dee Dee is bugging the tits off of Joel talking about getting a vintage car for their wedding. And Joel has to remind her about the divorce, and so Dee Dee has to pretend that the only thing that matters is that they get married. Joel nips off to pick up Nave, who totally does exist, and he brings her back to the flat.
Baby's real!
And she is a
so
cutie pie.
Cute! Oh my god! How cute is that baby?
What a cute baby. Dee Dee fusses over her. She reckons that Joel was born to be a dad. Gulp.
Gulp. Yeah, she wants 4 daughters with that man.
And
Dee Dee, what are you saying?
in Nina's roles, Joel gets a text from racist Kelly demanding his presence. He tries to palm his kid off on Dee Dee, but she's got to go to court. Oh, pig's tits. So he takes the baby to the flat and leaves her with racist Kelly, who is surprised to learn that Joel is already a dad. Racist Kelly wonders about Maeve and his kid being siblings. Joel says they will never meet.
Well, that's foreboding.
Racist Kelly hopes he'll take care of her baby too, and he says that he'll make sure that they get exactly what they deserve, and then laughs maniacally.
Right, yes.
Later, back at the flat, Dee Dee's got sand in her vagina about Joel's divorce and wants to go and have a word with his ex. Joel tells her to keep her fucking nose out of it or it'll just make matters worse, and Dee Dee sees sense and stands down. Dee Dee's annoying this entire week.
Yes.
She never used to be annoying. She's annoying now.
But she's gorgeous. Dee Dee is gorgeous.
I thought she was particularly stylish on Friday with her hair back and that bandana thing.
Yes.
On Wednesday, Joel is chasing up his package delivery, but the
Not like that!
the customer service department in the delivery company is lacking, and they tell him to suck his balls. He goes to see racist Kelly, who refuses to lock her door properly. She has it on the Yale, she doesn't have it on the Mortis. How many times does Joel have to explain this? And she's furious when he gives her healthy food, and he says that will continue until Ireland. She wants some money. He tells her to suck her own balls and lock the fucking door. Later, the package has been delivered to Dee Dee as she's leaving a message on Joel's phone. It's not even addressed to them. Who the fuck is E. Smith? Joel hears the message later while he's representing a client at the police station, so he's temporarily fucked. And then racist Kelly walks in. Oh my God, what a day for Joel. He accuses her of going against her deal and says that puts the Ireland stuff into jeopardy. And generally, he's a bit aggressive about it in the police station, but it turns out she's only there to pick up her stuff that they took from Roy. Uh-oh. Back at the flat, racist Kelly gives Joel a lecture about trust. He promises that the deal is still on. And then when Joel eventually gets home, he spies the package on the kitchen table and has to explain why something addressed for E. Smith is his. He claims it's for a case, a woman suffering from domestic violence that is worried that her partner goes through her stuff, so it had to be mailed there. Which I thought was very quick thinking by Joel.
Now, does Joel have an office?
We never find this out.
One would assume he has an office somewhere, right?
Right.
He must have an office. He must have a law firm that he works for. Wouldn't it make more sense to have it sent to his office, where Dee Dee will never see it?
Yes. But if Dee Dee never sees it, then just think of all that rich drama that will be robbed of.
You think we have some drama here?
No, it's just more of Dee Dee and Michael kind of being sort of suspicious, but not suspicious enough to make a big deal about it. He goes out to racist Kelly's again, and he has good news. The escape to Ireland is now paid for. But in his car, he opens up the package, and it's medication that we presume from his Vogel search last week that will end racist Kelly's pregnancy.
Well, will induce labor.
Right. And thus end the pregnancy.
He hopes.
On Friday, it's early morning and Joel's at racist Kelly's with news of her Irish lodgings. It's a bedsit, and by God, she is unimpressed.
Yeah, even though it's nice and by the river.
He gives her some money for butties to soften her up and then takes a call from Dee Dee, who thinks that he's working too hard, and in a rather tone-deaf moment says that she's jealous of this E. Smith, who doesn't exist, but as far as she knows, is a domestic abuse victim.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
That was so weird.
Yeah. It's like not something Dee Dee would even say.
And I've said this already, I think she's been kind of annoying all week. I think she's been annoying really ever since she got engaged. It's really changed her character quite a bit. That she's not curious at all as to where he's going or all this sort of stuff.
That's true. But she's still gorgeous.
Sure. Meanwhile, Max and Bobby are chatting about racist Kelly, and particularly Bobby's chances of getting his hold there. He says he's gone off her since she got knocked up, but reckons that she should be living in town near her mates.
He doesn't say it like that.
Later at the precinct, racist Kelly is mugged by a youth just as Max shows up, and rather than give chase, he cares for her.
Now, this scene is hilarious.
Well,
because Summer and Asha in another storyline are walking by.
just wandering by.
And walk by this youth. And at first I'm like, uh-oh, this is the guy that's going to catch Summer's eye now.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently she's shopping.
Right.
She's shopping around for Felix's replacement. So I'm like, oh, this dude is going to be part of this storyline. And then we see from behind racist Kelly come into the scene behind Summer and Asha and go into a doorway, and then the dude follows her into the doorway, and you're like, oh, okay. And Summer and Asha noticed nothing.
Nope, they're too busy walking in that way.
So funny.
And the guy just grabs racist Kelly's bag and runs off with it. The baby starts to kick, and Max feels her belly and is kind of...
He thinks it's cool.
Yeah, he's not freaked out about it, but he finds it fascinating.
Yes.
And he asks her not to disappear, and he offers her a room at number 8. Then she sees Dee Dee, who again is not at her work and has just appeared at the precinct for reasons unknown, and she hurries off. Meanwhile, the muggers delivered the bag to Joel in the Ginnell, and he quickly nabs the phone and keys out of it. Racist Kelly gets back to the flat via a taxi that she booked on an app on Max's phone, which is important.
And Joel is very, very, very creepy with this young man who is apparently a client of his.
Yeah.
And who he says to him, he's like, "You've paid your legal fees, but if you ever say anything about this..."
I was waiting for him to caress the boy's cheek.
Right. He just like caresses his shoulder a little bit. "But if you ever breathe a word of this to anyone, then you'll owe me." And it's like...
No, then you'll be back in young offenders, he says.
Right, you'll be back in young offenders. And that's kind of not the way that works.
No, Joel, the lawyer, doesn't get to choose
where he's going to go.
Right.
And also, if he blows the whistle on Joel, then Joel can't do anything to him because he will have blown the whistle on him.
But the kid seems compliant.
Right, yes, although he is upset that racist Kelly is pregnant.
Yeah.
He's like, "You didn't tell me she was pregnant."
Yeah, so back at the flat, after getting that taxi that she booked on an app on Max's phone, which is important.
Very important.
5-month pregnant, racist Kelly hurriedly starts packing. Joel, who's obviously there, wants her to calm down. She wants to leave to go and stay with Max, and Joel says, well, this is going to make a bigger move more complicated. So racist Kelly
Is it though?
admits that she was mugged. Joel struggles to hold his emotions together and makes her something to eat. And after some internal deliberation, he makes her some drugged tomato soup, which he encourages her to eat before he kind of bursts into tears a little bit. And he's kind of crying when he's drugging the soup, and he can't even look at himself doing it.
And he freaked out in the car when he opened the package.
Yes.
He's the weirdest villain ever.
Isn't he? So she admits that the mugger has freaked her out, and he reminds her that she holds all the cards here, and she agrees to stay. When he promises to get her a new phone, he leaves and locks her in because he's been making this big deal about her always locking the door.
Right, yes, but also locks her in.
Yeah.
So she can't get out.
Right.
Which is weird. How is that? Is there like a lock on the outside? Why would there even be
mortise
a
lock.
lock on the outside?
So you can lock your door when you leave.
Why wouldn't you just use the locks inside with a key?
That's just one lock.
You can get a deadbolt that you can lock from the outside, but you can also open from the inside.
Yeah, that's what's here. It's just that she doesn't have a key anymore because her keys got stolen. If she had her keys, she'd be able to get out. But she doesn't have her
there
keys
should be
anymore.
just like a knob on the inside.
That's a Yale lock. This is a mortise lock. This is one that requires a key.
On the outside.
What do you mean on the outside? It's on the outside and the inside.
Right, yeah, but on the inside you shouldn't require a key for it. It should be
No,
just
you
a little
do.
switch. That's dumb.
Well, it's got the UK through 2 world wars, Helen. What more do you want from me?
Did it?
Yeah. Meanwhile,
That seems very unsafe, is what I'm saying.
Scooby and Velma, or Max and Bobby, are worried about racist Kelly and her reaction to the mugging. Max has a weird feeling of wanting to protect racist Kelly. Back home, Dee Dee's worried that Joel is too invested in the E. Smith case that she literally knows nothing about. Joel agrees and offers a night in, but Dee Dee is fucking off to see Paul in another storyline that she never does. Meanwhile, racist Kelly is in bad shape back at the flat and appears to be going to labour, locked in the flat with no phone and nobody knowing where she lives. She's fucked. But then Max knocks on the door because remember...
She used the app on his phone to call a taxi.
That's right. So that's how Max knows where she lives now.
Yeah. That was very smart of Max.
I thought the show did not make a big enough deal about making that obvious. Because he kind of mutters about using the app on his phone, and it was kind of throwaway.
Yeah.
And then when he's explaining how he knows where she lives, he's doing it through a closed door, and you can't really hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
She begs for help. Later, Bobby is in the pub when he gets a call from Max about racist Kelly. Joel and Dee Dee are in the next booth. Racist Kelly, it appears, is in Weather General. The fireman had to break the door down. And Joel very quickly jumps to the conclusion that, oh, that's a shame. Shame about the baby then. And Dee Dee's, Joel, how dare you say something like that?
You have no idea, sir.
So Dee Dee wants to go and make sure that racist Kelly's okay, so Joel goes with. So in the hospital, Max is with racist Kelly, and he is so proud of her. She's had the baby. And
Yes.
then...
We don't get to see it.
No. And then we see Joel and Dee Dee come in, and Joel automatically says that he's just so sorry to hear about the baby. But Max says,
That
the baby's not
alive.
dead. The baby's alive, and everyone is doing everything that they can to keep it that way. Joel, the world's least emotionally stable bad guy now, has another cry.
Right.
And that's how we end this week's episode.
His lip is trembling.
Yeah.
His lip is a trembling. And it's like, is it a trembling because he's very nearly caught now?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a trembling because he loves his new baby son?
I was assuming that was the internal conflict he was having, was that he was potentially killing his
murdering a
son.
baby.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because she's mentioned it's a he
Right.
a few times, I think, or
Yeah.
a couple of times at least.
Yeah. So it's so weird because when we find out that Joel is the one who beat up racist Kelly and made her disappear in the first place, we're like, oh, they did such a good job of making him like this really creepy baddie. Because remember, he does that thing where he does the Hannibal Lecter thing. Oh, you don't have to do it over Bethany's picture. And we're like, oh, he's just gonna terrorize all the young women on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And then that doesn't happen.
No, nothing like
And
that's
then he
happened.
becomes kind of a wuss and conflicted and not scary at all. And it's really disappointing.
He's had little moments where he's particularly aggressive, but he's not the scary villain that I think we were promised. No,
Right. And he's not a very smart villain either.
and I don't
Because
know what.
again, he had this package sent to his house.
And I don't know what his motivation was for his emotions, whether it was that conflict because it's his child. I presume that's what it is. But I don't know, how much does this make things different now? Was he ever intended on sending her to Ireland?
Well, I don't think so because he was intending to kill the baby.
Because how was he possibly going to be able to afford that?
Yeah, and keep it
And a
from Dee Dee.
divorce and pay maintenance for Maeve. So I'm not exactly sure what his end goal in all this was, and because of that, I don't know what's changed now.
No, or if anything has changed. I mean, something has changed because he cannot kill the baby now.
Right.
Because the baby is out.
Out and about.
Out and about. And I would imagine that security around a nursery in the United Kingdom is just as intense as here in America.
You're not just wandering in there off the
No.
street. No, I don't think so.
No, where, there are bracelets where you have the same bracelet as your baby. And if you don't have that bracelet, you're not allowed in. Especially after COVID, I would think it would be even more intense than it was back when I was having babies. And it was pretty intense back then.
Right.
Because people, for some reason, keep trying to steal babies. Why do people steal babies? Why?
I don't think we can solve that question on this podcast. I think
No.
that's beyond our scope.
I think so as well.
Max is there for her.
And it kind of seems like maybe she and Max are going to get back together now that Bobby has vocally said he is no longer romantically interested in
And
racist
since the
Kelly.
show has forgotten that Sabrina's a thing.
Right. Yeah. And Sabrina is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And also, racist Kelly still hasn't been exonerated. And so putting these two racist people together, even though Max is not racist anymore and has kind of been exonerated. But
But he has an awful lot of sympathy for this racist character who hasn't been exonerated and
Right.
has now had a racist baby.
Right, yeah. But the whole putting his hand on the belly and then him being there for the birth
Sure.
and saying how proud he is of her, And he has like this warm feeling about her and he's not sure where it comes from. It's coming from your penis.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that. I do not want these two characters to get back together romantically.
Now remember, they're throwing the kitchen sink at Racist Kelly in an attempt to make us care about her. I came pretty damned close to caring about her this week.
Yeah.
Because she was doing a phenomenal job
Of going into labour.
doing the labour thing. That was almost too much, I thought. It was kind of visceral and brutal. And the fact that she was locked in that flat made me feel very anxious.
Yeah.
Kate Fenton did a
She did a
tremendous
very good job.
job.
Yes.
And so this is the closest I've come to giving a shit about Racist Kelly and formally changing her name back to Lauren, which isn't going to happen.
It's never going to happen
quite yet.
But and I think we need to say this out loud. Our criticism of Racist Kelly is of the character and not of the actor playing her.
Of course, that's always the case.
Which is always the case. Yeah. I feel like we are especially hard on Racist Kelly, so it feels like we really need to emphasize that the actor is doing a great job.
Very much.
It's the character that is rubbish.
Yeah, since she had that scene with Roy, I've looked on the character maybe a little bit differently, but I think the way that she's been portrayed, especially since then, has been fantastic. And it's just part of the great young talent that there is on the show at the moment, because the young crew are, I think, generally
Pretty
really,
good.
really good.
Now, do you think Nathan is going to insist upon a DNA test on this baby?
Why aren't we getting more of this? Because this is the fly in the ointment to the whole thing.
Right.
Is Nathan's
Insistence that
being the
he's
scapegoat
Right.
for all this endeavour.
Right.
And he's quite rightly, you would imagine, pretty pissed off that he's currently languishing in jail somewhere waiting a trial for a murder that isn't a murder anymore.
right. Yes,
But so what's happening with all that?
but it is, I guess, a rape and a kidnapping.
Who knows? But we're just not being given anything
Right.
part of that storyline.
Yeah.
And if once, I don't know, are the cops going to get wind of the birth of Racist Kelly Jr.?
Well, they can't really do anything. They can't take the DNA of that baby without cause. But if Nathan and his lawyer make a stink about this and say, we want a DNA test on that baby, if she's insisting that this is Nathan's baby, then they would be able to test the DNA of that baby.
I don't know if anybody knows that she's pregnant from the police point of view.
Swain interviewed her while she was visibly pregnant.
Did Swain ask her about the dad? I don't think she did.
Well, she asked, she said, remember, she was in the hospital. She was in the hospital visibly pregnant, and she asked her who did this to her, and she said it was Nathan. Remember?
Yeah, who put her in the hospital, not who made her pregnant. I took that as...
She's in the hospital because she wouldn't have been put in the hospital because of Nathan.
Who did this to her and who beat you up?
Right. And I think in the course of blaming Nathan, she said something about him raping her. Pretty sure.
I don't think that happened.
But that would be the presumption, I would assume.
That may be the presumption, but there are an awful lot of things being presumed here that we're not seeing
No.
vis-a-vis the Nathan portion of this storyline,
And
which
the
I think is
investigation.
very important that we're
Yes.
just not getting any
Anything.
of.
Yeah.
So again, not knowing Joel's ultimate goal here, it's difficult to say where he goes from here.
Right, because his goal was to kill the baby and then just ignore Racist Kelly? I don't know. Do you think he's actually bought tickets to Ireland? I don't think he's bought
No,
tickets to Ireland.
all he showed us is bits of paper that could have
Yeah.
anything on it.
Right.
So yeah, I'm a bit confused about the whole thing. What's the viability of a 24-week pregnancy anyway? Isn't that like super premature? That is super premature, isn't it? That's like
6 months is viable. She's 6 months.
That's not 24 weeks.
She said she was 6 months.
She said she was 24 weeks.
Now, anyway, the baby is viable. And they're saying that he's a fighter, that he was born breathing, so they didn't even have to resuscitate him.
Right. I don't know what this does to racist Kelly's character, though.
We haven't had a baby in a long time on the street.
We haven't. We really haven't. And it's weird that the first one that we get is to a character so young and still so unresolved as far as redemption's concerned. Oh well.
Oh well.
Do you reckon Dee Dee's any closer to getting to the bottom of this?
Well, here's the thing. She doesn't know that there's something to get the bottom of. So
She's not at all suspicious.
it doesn't seem like she's suspicious at all because she has no reason to be suspicious.
No.
Which is frustrating because she is a smart character and she just seems so dumb at the moment.
She's got the wedding fever. I guess that's what it is, or that's what that's supposed to be, but it's a bit frustrating for a character that was a bit ditzy, and that was really the only thing that was against her at the start, but has proven herself time and time again to be a resourceful and intelligent woman, is kind of shown to be, I don't know, a bit of a walkover and a bit of a...
Because she's a smitten kitten.
Yeah, I guess.
Love makes you dumb.
I guess so. And that was the week that was Coronation Street. Then, Helen, tell me, what was your moment of the week?
I don't really want to give it to Paul again.
No, although the scene with Paul and Bernie was quite
great.
good.
Yeah. So do we give it to Paul again?
I don't know, this is up to you.
It's not just up to me, it's up to you as well.
I typically just agree because we've been doing this for 2 hours and it's not worth arguing over.
All right, Paul and Bernie.
Okay, that is our...
Moment of the week.
Another
She
week.
really was fantastic.
She really was.
And,
As always.
yeah. And a very nuanced performance over the week. She really was going through the wealth of emotions, but when
Yes.
she was having her conversation, when she was so proud of Paul, that was really, really emotional.
Yeah, I love that.
What about your boring moment of the week then?
God, this is so horrible because we didn't get any Daniel or Chesney this week.
No.
Or Ken.
No.
Is it Dev's smoothie?
No, that was great.
Is it Fizz's crispy pancakes?
They did get mentioned quite a bit. Tyrone's reaction to crispy pancakes. Yeah, the crispy pancake chat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crispy
that was
pancakes.
pretty dull. That's it.
Boring moment of the week.
Now, Helen, I, as ever, ask our Twitter followers on a Friday evening what they thought of this week's Corrie. And this week, I said, July was a pretty good month as far as Corrie was concerned. And it got the numbers to suggest it. But what about the start of August? And the results were, I go for yay, meh, or zzz.
Yeah.
And zzz, riding at 9.9%.
Impressive.
Meh at 31%, which means yay has won again. 59.2% of the vote. This might be the highest so far that's either ambivalent or better, because I think this is a 91.1% approval rating, which is pretty incredible.
It was a good week.
But we don't let that influence our scores at all.
No.
So Helen, what was your score out of 10?
7. The only thing that ruined this week was the sentient fire that walked from a car to an office building
All it would have
of
taken,
indeterminable height.
all it would have taken would have been one line of dialogue to explain that away, I think.
And they couldn't explain it away, and that's why there's no dialogue.
I was a little, not exactly disappointed, but I didn't think it was as good a week as last week. So I will give this 7.5, which I think is still a pretty good result.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been delivering recently. I've been very pleased with this. It's so much easier to watch when it's entertaining. All right, that about wraps that up for another week then.
Yes.
This episode was brought to you with thanks to our friends of the podcast. That's Daisy, French Helen, Pickles, DT, Trisha, Wendy, Noel, Canadian Helen, Christy, Shandy, English Victoria, Aurora, Yvonne, Heather Westerfield, Russell Whiting, Jackie B and Brittany Potter. Thank you so much, folks. If you've ever found a hidden phone in a stranger's house inside 5 minutes, writing to tell us about it, we're the talkofthestreet@gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky. You can shout me and Helen a coffee or become a friend of the podcast by heading to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the-talk-of-the-street, or patreon.com/the-talk-of-the-street. Check out voggle.co.uk for links to a merch store, YouTube channel and blog. I might not have time to do a blog this week. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. And be sure to check out our pop culture sister podcast, The List of Lists.
We didn't do one this week.
We didn't do it.
It's too hot.
And you weren't feeling very well.
And I was sick.
Yeah.
I do desperately want to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, though.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode. And we will be back next week. We will be back next week, won't we?
Yes, because we have to be back on Friday for the plumber.
We're so professional. With more
A Talk of the Street.
Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.